grandkids together for her for a week.
Shmoni Legevura, you know? Yeah.
Hey, neighbor.
Hey, how are you?
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Mario.
Hello,
Hi.
Mario.
How are you, Harold?
I'm good.
Was it too hot last night in Palm?
No.
Mario, you look so good. You shaved. No more.
I shaved a long time ago.
No more mustache.
I'm glad you noticed Kenny after 6 months, but it's okay.
We meant you shaved your leg.
You don't look like Pablo Escobar anymore.
No. Where's the teacher?
Where's the Rebbe? L'chaim, everybody.
Chaim, Walter.
Kenny,
What do you mean?
what are you drinking? Tea there?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm drinking whiskey.
I'm tired. I was
Whiskey?
biking today.
Where's our drink, Walter?
What's the occasion?
What's the occasion? I see you, Harold. You're back in town.
Yeah, I'm back in town.
You're back in town.
Back in black.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah.
Black is beautiful.
It matters. Black shirts matter.
Black clothes matter.
Absolutely.
You know what my wife says? Black mascara matters.
It's too much information for us, Kenny. It's okay.
Oh my gosh, we played the newlywed game with all the couples. You know, my parents, my siblings.
How was it?
Hysterical. I lost, but
A bad sign.
totally. It was really funny.
Hi, Kenny. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Kenny, we needed you for a quorum today. We had to call somebody else.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your help in that meeting. Both Lenny and Marty told me they appreciated your comments. We're on Lamed Beis Eruvin 32. Rav Sheshes Amar Echad Zeh V'Echad Zeh Chazak HaShliach Leisa Shlichusa. We're talking about that if you make a shaliach, there's a presumption that the shaliach will carry out his shlichus. So yesterday, Rav Nachman said, if it's a doraisa dika law, we don't assume that the shaliach carried out his shlichus, but by drabonan we do. Rav Sheshes says makes no difference. Whether it's doraisa, whether it's drabonan, we will assume that if a shaliach was made, the shaliach will carry out his shlichus. Amar Rav Sheshes. But no, I mean Allah. Where do I prove this? This not. So on the 16th day of Nisan, the day after Pesach, the Minchas HaOmer was offered. Once the Minchas HaOmer is offered, you're allowed to eat the new grain, wheat that is planted from, Rosh Chodesh. It depends on Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, what's Rosh Hashanah Ilanos, and also the Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the cutoff for the new grain. So once you, as opposed to the old grain, Yashon. Now, Arachokim, let's say you didn't live close by. Let's say you live far away from Yerushalayim, and you don't know that the Korban HaOmer has been offered yet. Mutar mechatzos hayom ve'elech. Noontime, already they can eat chadash. And we're going to see in a minute because we assume that the Shliach Bezdin did a Shlichus by that time. And chadash is an issue that is Doraisa, not Rabbanan. V'chadash Doraisahu. Ukitani, Archoki Mutar mechatzos hayom ve'elech. La mishum chazak Shliach was a Shlichuso. It must be because we use the principle that we assume that the Shaliach carried out his shlichus. So that seems to be a support to Rav Sheshes. Kasha and Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman hasum keditani time up. There it has nothing to do with shlichus. If he sheyoidin shein bezdin misatzlin bo, bezdin is responsible. So bezdin makes sure that the shliach bezdin takes care of it, but not a regular shliach. By regular shlichus law, does not necessarily follow the same principle. So that's one version that came down to the Gemara. Ikad the Amri, other people have a different version. That Rav Nachman, it was Rav Nachman, not Rav Sheshes, who gave the proof. Meno Amina law that it's only shlichus, oisa shlichosu by rabbinic law, but not by Doraisa Dika law. He brings the same source, the Ktani Taima. Lefi sheyoidin shein bezdin misatzlim bo. That the Rechokim from Yerushalayim can already eat Chodosh by Chatzos because they know that Bezdin is not lazy. So Bezdin u'delo misatzlim bo. Hashliach misatzil bo. Bezdin knows what it's doing, so Bezdin we can rely on. But a Shaliach you can't rely on when it comes to Chodosh, which is a Deraisa Dikala. Rav Sheshes Amalach Bezdin ad Pagid Yoma. Bezdin would get it done already by noontime. Shaliach Kula Yoma. The Shaliach, he'll get it done that day. Once nightfall comes, we assume that the Shlichus did it. That he would not let the day pass until he carried out what he's supposed to carry out. But, and Chanami, Bezdin will do it quicker, but the Shliach will carry out as Shlichus. Okay, so they both brought proofs from the din of Chodosh. But they're going to bring different proofs. Rav Sheshes. Meno Amina law. I will bring you another proof that we say Chazak or Shliach Choisa Shlichaso even by Dorais. The time. Ha'isha sheyesh alea leida oziva. A woman who is given birth has to bring a korban, either a lamb and a bird, or two birds. And the Zava always brings two birds as her korban. Now, the Beis HaMikdash was set up, Mevia Mos, V'noisenes B'shoifar. There were boxes on the wall that said kinim, and this is for a chat. You could put money in a box, and they would buy korbanos that day and offer korbanos that day. So a woman didn't have to necessarily go buy her own birds and go through her own thing. She could just put money in a box that said for kinim, pairs of birds. The toiveles. Now, a woman who's given birth and a zava, they are mechusar kapor. A woman who's given birth has to wait to the 41st day if it was a male, or the 81st day if it was a female. She's tamei the first 40 or 80 days. And on the 81st, 41st, or 81st day, she can eat korbanos if she brings these korbanos, the birds. Similar, a zava has to count 7 clean days, and on the 8th day, she has to bring korbanos. And so, but she has to go to the mikveh as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, toiveles, v'oicheles, b'kotshim la'erev. Now, even she put the money in the box that day, that night she can already eat kotshim. Now, why? Lav mishum damrinan chazak shliach hoisa shlichuso. The shliach who is appointed by the Beis HaMikdash to take the money in the boxes, buy the birds, and offer them, has carried out his shlichus that day. We wouldn't allow her to eat kotshim already if we weren't absolutely sure that the shliach did his shlichus. So from here, Rav Sheshes learns that chazak or shliach hoisa shlichuso even by doraisa. Rav Nachman, who holds that we don't hold that chazaka by doraisa, how does he explain this din? Awesome, Rav Shmaya, Dam Rav Shmaya. Chazaka ain't bezin shel kohanim ondim misham apshiich l'kol moshe b'shoifer. In the Beis HaMikdash, there was a bezin of kohanim that dealt with all of this. So it's Bezdin again. It's not Shlichus. It's not a raya that Shlichus will do it. It's a raya that Bezdin you could be reliable, but not necessarily no raya about Shlichus. Amrav Sheshis B'Naminullah. Another proof. The Tanya. Amr L'Chaveiro say V'Laket L'Chat Te'enim Ete'inosi. Person has a field. He tells his friend, go and pick some figs from my trees and eat them. So the din is the friend can go oichel mehen aroy. He can't sit down and make a meal, but he can temporarily snack on these figs, even though trumas and maestros have not been given, because you don't need to give trumas and maestros if the achil is only going to be an achilas aroy. However, if he's going to come in and eat an established meal, uma'asran vadai. There he has to give mamish trumas and maestros from the figs, truma and meiser rishon and meiser sheni. We can't rely that maybe the balabayits gave trumas and maestros on the figs from someplace else. We don't know, so because he's not going to know exactly how many figs he's going to pick. So that for sure, the guy who's picking it has to give trumas and maestros. However, if the owner of the field told his friend, hey, take this basket and fill up the figs and you can take them. So again, you can eat temporarily without doing anything. But ma'asrin demai, he only has to treat this like demai. It's a suffix. Maybe his friend, in this case, gave trumas and maestros. Now why? Because here there's a set amount. He gave him a basket. He knows what fits in this basket. So he knows how much truma maestro to give from a different set of fruits that he has. And when do we say ma'asrin demai? By medram and ba'amaretz. If the owner of the field is ba'amaretz. Aval b'chaver oichel ve'no tzarech la'aser. If the owner of the field is a chaver, for sure he gave trumas and maestros when he told his friend to take a basket. It's not even demai. It's not a suffix. It's vade that he did. Divrei Rebbe. And Rav Shimon Gamliel Oimer also b'med v'amar b'amaretz. Aval b'chaver eino oichel ad sheyaser. Rav Shimon has a different opinion that the guy who picked it has to give maestro himself because lefish lo nechshu chaverim litrum shlom namukiv. A chaver will never give trumas and maestros when he's not there. He has to be there when he gives the trumas and maestros. He's always going to give the trumas and maestros when he's physically there with the original fruit. Now, but it comes out according to either. Anyway, let's finish. Amar Rabbi Nir and Divrei Dvar and Divrei Abba. That my words make more sense. Mutav sheyektu chaverim litrom shalom namukiv. I'd rather be choishesh chaverim that they would give trumas maestros even though they're not with the original fruits. The lo yachilu la'aretz tavalim, rather than cause an amaretz to eat teva. So whatever you're going to say, I'd come lo pligel the marsov and nechshud do marsov and nechshud do. Are they nechshud? Were they suspected of not giving truma muna moki if that's the machlokes? But they're not arguing that a shaliach is going to do his shlichus, and this is doraisa dikala. So Rav Sheshes has another proof. Rav Nachman Hasam Rav Chanina Chuzah. Rav Chanina Chuzah Chazaka hu al chaver. Sheina motzi davar sheina metuk mitachs yado. This can't be learned to regular din of shlichus. This has to do with the status of being a chaver. That a chaver is never going to allow a situation from his hands that someone's going to eat tevel. And therefore, he's going to take care of it no matter what. But no raya regarding regular shlichus. Amar Mar. Bamed var mamurim ba'amaretz. That you have to give demai. You have to treat it like suffix. The guy who goes into the field to pick, he can rely on the chaver that the chaver did it. Now, hi amaretz to ka'amar le'laman. Who's the Amoritz having a dialogue with? Is it that the Amoritz the Chaver said to his friend the Amoritz, is that what it means? Then what does it mean, Meiser and Demai? Why did it mean you have to give Meiser as a suffix? Who's gonna? Why are the Chachamim worried about the Chaver? Ela b'Amoritz to come leChaver. It's an Amoritz who told the Chaver to pick the fruit. The Chaver knows the dinim of Trumas and Meisers. But if that's the case, aim is safer. Near and Devarim Divrei Rabbah, where we say Mutav Shiyach Chaverim Litrom Shalom Namuk Vayichilu Amoritz Tvolim. But you just told me that the person who's picking is a Chamer, not an Amoritz. Amoritz, my boy, also. So the Reish and the Sefer are contradictory. Amravina and Chanami. Reish ba'Amoritz, Sh'amar l'Chaver, and Sefer b'Chaver Sh'amar l'Aretz. The Chaver Acher Shama, the third Chaver heard. Rabbi Savar also Chaver, Oy Chaver Netzar Klase. The first Chaver certainly doesn't have to give, the second Chaver doesn't have to give Meiser, because the first Chaver gave it. The Vada Yisrei Meiser are Chaver Kamai Loi. But Rav Shimon Gamliel Omer Lo Yochel Ad Shiyaser Lefi Shloi Nechshu Chaver Mitrol Shalom Namukiv. Since the original Chaver was not there when the fruits were picked, he's not there with it, and Rav Shimon Gamliel holds that they will always be with the fruits at the same time that they separate the Meiser. And in response, Amalei Rebbe Mutav Shiyaser Chaver Mitrol Shalom Namukiv. No. The Chavers will forgo that rather than al yachilu Amoritz Tvolim, rather than have an Amoritz eat tevel. So in effect, what's the nakuda of the machlokas? Rabbi Soranich leLachaver la'avid hu isur klila v'lolav Amoritz isur rabba. The Chaver will tolerate doing a minor sort of averadika act, which is to be litrom shalom and amukiv, the lo levid Amoritz isur rabba, and not have an Amoritz eat tevel, which is midoraisa. Rather, Rav Shimon Gamliel, no. The concept of chaverus was so strong. The chavers were so stringent and punctilious regarding their shmiras mitzvahs that they would allow an Amoritz to eat tevel rather than even violate a small isra. The Rambam paskins like Rebbe, that it's vade that he answered it. As long as he gave him a basket so he knew what the shear was. So we paskin like the concept of Rebbe that they will violate this concept of being Toirim Shalom Namukif rather than have an Amoritz eat tevel. Mishnah. Now, you have to lay down your Eruv Ben Hashmoshois, 2,000 amas from your city, from where you are, on Shabbos. If you want to carry another 2,000 amas, you have to have access, ready access to that Eruv. So Nasno Be'ilin, let's say you put the Eruv in a tree. If you put it Lamala Masor Tfachim, if it was placed more than 10 tefachim from the ground, ein eruve eruv. The eruv is not going to work. If it's within 10 tefachim from the ground in the tree, lamata masor tefachim eruve eruv. Then the eruv is a good eruv. The Gemara will explain at length what's going on here. Nosno babor. If you put the eruv in a bor, afilu amok mea amok.
Grown to you punch your air.
Elazar, your voice.
Elazar, you've been drinking again?
We can't understand you because It prolongs whatever you're speaking through. It doesn't come through clearly. Now he's on mute.
Can you use a drone to bring a?
Well, we learned that yesterday about a kof. No, the person who
Right.
lays it, if you make a shaliach, the shaliach has to have the ability to make a kinyan, and that it has to coin a shvisa for you. So you would not be able to use a drone. Unless you hold a drone as like an extension of your hand.
Your koichas, yeah, maybe a koich.
You know,
Your
that's what I'm saying. Midin shlichus, it wouldn't work. But if it's considered like it's an extension of your hand, maybe it would work.
All right.
So we said if you put it in a bore, even if the bore was 100 amma deep, the eruv is a good eruv. Okay. Yosef Rav Chia Barav Rav Hasi Rav Bar Nosson, the Yosef Rav Nachman Gabai, the Yosef Ekami. They were learning. Hi Elon de Koihech. Where is this tree? Eleme de Koi B'Shus HaYochid. If the tree is in Walter's backyard, that happens to be where my 2,000 amma thing ends up, and I want to put the eruv in his tree, but it's in the backyard. So mali lamala, mali lamata, rishus hayachid oilad rakia. When you're in a rishus hayachid, which has been defined by an area that's fenced in, at least 10 tefachim high, and 4 by 4. It's got to be 4 by 4 square amis. So that rishus hayachid goes all the way to Shemayim. So the tree is a rishus hayachid, whether I put it within 10 tefachim of the ground or above 10 tefachim of the ground. And I'm standing in the rishus hayachid. So I and the eruv are in the same rishus. There's no problem. Ella the koi b'rishus harabi. Rather,
Ernie,
yes.
if you put it above 10 tefachim, you won't be able to, because you can't climb a tree in Shabbos, right?
Hang
So
on,
you
we're
won't-
not there yet.
Oh,
Right now, we're not there
okay.
yet.
Okay,
Right
sorry.
now, the Havamina of the Gemara is that if the tree is in a Rishus HaYachid, who cares where you put the eruv in the tree? You're in the Rishus HaYachid, the tree is Rishus HaYachid, and the Rishus HaYachid doesn't extend to a certain limit. It's everywhere.
Okay.
So Ella the Koi B'Rishus Harabim. So must be that the tree is in Rishus Harabim. And then our question is, the miskave lishbos hecha. Where did he have kavana to be shoyves that shots? Let's say he saw that there was a nice tree house with a ladder, and he wanted to be shoyves above 10 tefachim in the tree. So again, what's going to be the problem? Who the eruva b'makam echadu? If he climbs up into the tree, and the eruv is there, so he's going to be in the same rishus as the tree, and it's above 10 tvachim, and the tree is a rishus hayachid. Wherever he is, that's where the eruv is.
I'm supposed to be sleeping already. Leave this alone. They both. You go to sleep. Have a nice evening.
Okay,
sure.
How are you, my darling?
Good.
Mario, you may have to mute. Yeah. Must be that he wants to make his residence at the bottom of the tree. And he then has to get the eruv there, and then it's a problem, like Mario said, you're not allowed to use a tree as a gzeira that you might tear off a branch and violate the prohibition of koitzer. That means even if we put it below 10 tefachim, it would be a problem. Because you can't really use the tree. So la'olam dekoy b'reshus harabi. We have to accept that the tree is standing in reshus harabi. V'it niskavin lishbos lamato. And he wants to establish his residence below 10 tefachim. The Rebbe, and this follows Rebbe. Domer kol davar shu mishum shvus lo gazur lav ben hashmashos. This law of not being able to use a tree on Shabbos is only a gzeira. So Rebbe holds that ben hashmashos we don't have to hold by the gzeiras rabbana. Since the whole positioning of the Eruv is done, ben hashmashos, you can use the tree because there's no gzeira, because all shvusim, we don't make a gzeira ben hashmashos. However, if it's above 10 tefachim, because remember, within 10 tefachim, he and the Eruv is going to be in the same location. But if it's above 10 tefachim, then he's in Reshus HaRabim. The Eruv is in Reshus HaYachid, you're going to be chayav for Hotzah, so that's why the Eruv is not good. Rav Nachman Yashar. You're correct. You answered the same way, I answered the same way. I wanted to know, did you receive this b'mesorah, this response? And itmarnami. We're talking about a tree in Reshus HaRabim. Gavoa asav rachava, and the tree is 10 high and 4 wide. There's no gzer of using the tree. All of this is regarding a tree that's outside the area of the city where people dwell. Somehow the city fills up everything in the city. It's all considered city. And therefore, even above 10 tvachim would be a guneru. Because the Masa command a city is viewed as if it's filled up until the top. Everything in the city is considered one rishus. Even at the top of a tree, it's considered part of the city. Now, why shouldn't this work for a tree outside of the city? Because whenever you lay a eruv down, yeshlo arba amas. You have arba amas around it. Now, an arba amas creates a rishus hayachid. So, based on that svara, even a tree outside of the city, you should be able to put above 10 tvachim. Rav Yitzchak ben Rav Misharshe, hacha be'ilan anoite chutz la'arba amas askinon. Its branches are away from the trunk of the tree by arba amos, and it's outside the tchum. And he placed the eruv on a branch outside of that arba amos area. However, niskavin lishbos bikaro, but his kavana was to spend the Shabbos at the trunk, not at the branches. And then the Gemara is going to ask, Maila, Mala, Maila, Mata, the other Zoki. But that will go into tomorrow.
Okay. Okay,
tomorrow is 8 o'clock rise.